Ogden, one man is
They're going to be $1,400, period.
President Biden sending a message just ahead why he and Democrats plan to move forward with this COVID-19 relief bill without Republican support and what he had to say about a $15 minimum wage. And 4 people dead, 4 rescued in an avalanche in Mill Creek Canyon. It's a developing story. We are live near the scene with the latest. And good evening. It's great to have you with us on this Saturday night. I'm Nick McGurk. We do start with breaking news tonight. 4 people have been killed in an avalanche. This happening in Mill Creek Canyon today. 4 people rescued as well. We do have team coverage of this avalanche. Jeff James, meteorologist, standing by in the Pinpoint Weather Center. We know he's monitoring those backcountry conditions. But we're going to start now with ABC4's Jordan Burroughs. Jordan, you're live near the scene. And Jordan, yet another deadly avalanche in the backcountry this year. 4 people dead. What do we know?
Nick, like you mentioned, 4 people dead while 4 others were rescued. All a part of the same group of 8 people up skiing in that area in Mill Creek Canyon behind me. Sergeant Cutler with the Unified Police Department says the lack of cell phone reception could have cost all 8 of them their lives. That is why we are live near the mouth of Mill Creek Canyon right now, because of that cell phone service. Today, this all started around 11:40 in the morning with a 911 call, but that call was dropped. So dispatchers kept trying until they could get a hold of someone and locate the skiers. They eventually did locate the skiers at a pretty reasonable time. Sergeant Cutler says this happened in the backcountry, and the conditions today spelled trouble for anyone on the slopes. There is a high avalanche risk. We saw skiers getting rescued by helicopter one by one. 4 of the skiers were lifted off the mountain to safety, while the 4 dead remain unburied at this moment. Crews trying to recover them before nightfall. Sergeant Cutler says they all had avalanche beacons with them, and they range in age from 23 to 38 years old and were all a part of that same group. Cutler adds,
I'm not sure if it's the thrill or what it is, but it's really important to pay attention to those things. There has been advisories out recently of the very high avalanche danger that exists with the current conditions, and this is a very unfortunate circumstance that with these conditions, and it actually has happened and resulted in lives being lost.
We are not sure of the conditions of the rescued skiers right now, but they were up there for roughly 4 hours waiting to get rescued. There have now been 6 people dead in backcountry avalanches since the start of the new year. Sergeant Cutler says that cannot happen. Do not put your life at risk, and do your research if it looks like there is a high avalanche risk. It is not worth the thrill to put your life on the line. Of course, we'll be following this developing situation throughout the evening, and of course, you can watch our 10 o'clock newscast, and we'll update our website at abc4.com. Reporting live in Mill Creek Canyon, I'm Jordan Burroughs, ABC4 News.
All right, Jordan Burroughs, thank you very much. Those other 2 deadly avalanches off Park City Mountain Resort, separate avalanches, so 3 deadly avalanches this year. We want to move on now. The Utah Avalanche Center tweeting this photo that large natural avalanches did happen overnight. Northern Utah saw a decent amount of snow on Friday. We certainly know that did happen, especially up in Summit County. Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson releasing a statement on today's avalanche in the last 45 minutes or so. Quote, "We are heartbroken over the tragic news of 4 fatalities as a result of an avalanche in the Mill Creek Canyon area this afternoon. We deeply mourn the loss of life due to this devastating incident." Meteorologist Jeff James now. And Jeff, we had a lot of snow yesterday, but what made the avalanche danger just so high today?
It's a volatile situation out there with the snowpack. One thing that's been unique with these last 2 storms, remember we had one earlier in the week and then we had one yesterday, is that we go above freezing, then we go below, then we go above. And as that happens, the base of each of those new layers have this kind of crystal, sugary kind of texture to it. So that's the ingredient that causes things to sort of slip and cascade, and it only takes that top layer to move, and it trips all the other layers. And as a result, here we go with more avalanches, and I think this increased caution period will continue on for some time. Right now, the Utah Avalanche Center is emphasizing these areas in red, which encompasses a good chunk of the northern Sierras, with high, very considerably high danger for avalanche and a shift in some of that high layered snow. It's a very, very unstable situation throughout. And on top of that, you got the wind, right? And we had some high gusts today. These were some of the gusts that were out there in the early morning, and these don't even have the readings for the highest elevation. Some of those were still kicking around 40, 50 miles per hour. Now, the good news is these things change tomorrow. Much better conditions on the way as far as wind. But again, Nick, the situation here is whether you're an expert or a novice, you really want to stay off the back country here. And if you are going to be up there, you got to have the right equipment. So I'll have more on some warming in our forecast in just a bit.
Okay, thanks, Jeff. And we know that a lot of times the folks involved in these do have all the right equipment. We're told these folks today all had beacons. We know that last Saturday, a real staple of the backcountry skiing community, Kurt Damschroeder, died in that avalanche. So that was the second deadly avalanche this year. And then, of course, today happened. So really, this can happen to anybody. We want to tell you that we at ABC4 will be here to cover all of these stories. You can count on us at ABC4 News. The latest developments from today's avalanche we will have online and coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. Now, developing news out of Ogden this evening, an armed sexual assault and robbery suspect is dead after a police shooting. This happening last night near 30th Street and Washington Boulevard. Police say the suspect showed a gun during the assault, then took a car and left the area. So officers telling ABC4 News that officers found the car and then they found the suspect. And according to police, the suspect showed police the gun again, and that's when two officers opened fire. You might be wondering, were there any cameras? Ogden police say the officers were wearing body cameras. We do expect a news conference tomorrow morning at around 10 a.m. We will be there, but none of the officers were injured, and they have been placed on administrative leave. Again, we will be there at that news conference tomorrow as this investigation continues. Now we're moving on to Utah's COVID-19 numbers. The Department of Health reporting over 1,200 new cases today, more than 1,200 new cases. So our case total now over 353,000. More than 404,000 Utahns have received the vaccine by now. 335 people in the hospital at this hour fighting the virus. Some sad news, 5 more Utahns have died since yesterday, according to the health department. Our death toll now, 1,733. Over the last 7 days, we're averaging over 1,100 cases per day. Our positivity rate for all tests is 16.2%. Well, President Biden says the American people do not have time to wait for lengthy bipartisan negotiations. He says they need help now. The president had hoped for bipartisan legislation, says he's willing to move forward without GOP support. He stressed the size of those $1,400 checks. Well, he says those are non-negotiable.
If I have to choose between getting help right now to Americans who are hurting so badly and getting bogged down in a lengthy negotiation, or compromising on a bill that's up to the crisis, that's an easy choice.
Both chambers of Congress have passed a budget resolution that sets up the ability for Democrats to pass this $1.9 trillion COVID relief package without the threat of filibusters from Republicans. Coming up on ABC4 News at 5, controversy surrounding a coach for the big game. Hear what happened and if he will be on the sidelines for the biggest game of the year. And the search for 2 young boys out of California continues. Hear the plea for the family to help find them.